In this video, I want to address an issue that I found with the Jeep with taking it a few miles away to go to a car show in the heat. Has a little bit of an issue holding down some coolant. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's what we got going on. As you can see with the radiator, it doesn't have a catch bottle, which is normal. This is the way this was back in the 1950s. My 55 Chevy was set up the exact same way. And the problem I have, when this gets hot and that pressure builds, that's what your cap is going to do. It's going to release at a certain pressure. And what ends up happening here is that fluid runs down and it is going down on top of the front differential. You can actually see the tube is a bit damp there. But also, it's blowing it back across the motor, on the frame rail, and back on the firewall. So I don't want that to be doing that. So I want to capture this. So I'm going to come up with a system that is just going to simply capture this and then allow it to be pulled back into the radiator, which is more of a modern system. So this is what I'm going to end up doing. So here's what I've come up with. I'm going to use an old soup can and a beer bottle. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to mount it somewhere in this space around the battery tray. That should hold it there. And I'm going to cut into the tube over here and then just have a rubber line coming on over and make that connection. And then I'll have a small overflow tube coming out of here, so that way as it's putting coolant in, it has a place for the air to escape. And then as this system cools, it will automatically siphon the coolant back into the radiator. I made a similar system on my 55 Chevy and it works excellent. But I don't feel putting a plastic bottle in here or anything like that's going to work. I'm not sure what Jeep used later years. There may have been a system, a catch system, but hey, this is just going to be a little use what you got. So I think a simple soup can and a beer bottle should do the job. Okay, so I've been gathering up a few things here. Got some rubber hose. Found some old fuel line, which will sink down in there. Now I'm going to have to add a little bit to this so it'll be almost touching the bottom, so that way it'll be able to suck the coolant back in. I have a cork. So what I'm going to do is I need this line first off to pass through here. It should drill right through that. Pull the cork out with it. There we go. Of course, now I'm going to have to clear all the cork from the tube. Cleared that out. I actually just used my air compressor, just pushed that right out of there. I suppose if you didn't have air compressor, you could probably just use a small drill bit and probably drilled it out of there. But one of the other things I want to do is if I just have this going in, then there's not going to be anything to be able to displace the air. So to do that, I'm just going to use a small vacuum connector. I just cut the tabs off of that. I'm going to drill another small hole and push that down in there, and that's going to allow air to be able to vent out of this. Simply putting that hole in there might be enough, but I'd rather make sure that it doesn't swell with the coolant and just push this down in. One other thing I'd like to do, if I can, would be to use this cap. By the way, this is a local brewery, Trogs. But I would also like to be able to use this as well. So I may end up drilling some holes in this and see if we can get that to line up. I need to get this flared end off. Okay. Okay. Of course, I will have to take all this apart again if I want to try and put this cap in there. Well, I wasn't happy with just that one, so I put a second vacuum line in here so that way I have full protrusion through here, so that way I know this should be clear airflow going through there. The other thing I did is I wound up drilling some holes in the cap, so should be able to get that to go over this and run that line down through. Now I got to put a rubber hose on this so it'll touch the bottom. Push this all together. Alright, so I went ahead and cut a length of hose. Not only is it lightly curved, but also cut the bottom at an angle, so that way when it's at the bottom of the bottle, it's not going to be flat where it wouldn't be able to get any pull any liquid up. So, ready to put this together. Alright, got that bottom out. I can see the hose inside. Now we'll go ahead and twist this to tighten it up. Although I doubt that's going to come out of there. Now, to put this into the soup can, first off, having a silver soup can, it just isn't going to look right. So I'm going to have to do something with the finish on this. But before I do that, I want to see if I can get this mounted in the way that I want. So I may end up welding a bracket on the back here to bolt it using some existing holes. The other thing I want to do is I want to put some safety wire attaching the can up here to the top, so that way this doesn't want to jump around, move around, or anything like that. Also, I guess tip over hazard, we don't want this to fall out or anything like that, so that'll make that a little bit better. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to powder coat this can, and I actually have a powder that's to look like rust. And I've used it before. It doesn't exactly look like rust, but I think it'll blend in a little bit better. So after a little bit of powder coat, I've got my can looking just like it's lightly rusted, and there it'll be sitting in with the container sitting in there. And then I'm going to put some safety wire on this then as well, so I think that'll give it a pretty nice look. There's the can in place. Now we'll get our bottle going here. Now I still have to cut the line on the radiator to make this connection, but I don't see that that should be too much of a complication. See about chasing my safety wires down in here. Let's do this without touching any terminals on the battery too, would be good. Okay, now that I have all the wires chased in there, I should be able to pull everything down. There we go. So I wound up moving the battery so I could get in here and get it. It's not that pretty, but it does the job. It's going to stay there. So the last thing I need to do is to make this final connection. So I just got to cut this line and slip that on, and I should have a working overflow bottle. All right, I know people are probably cringing for me to do this, but gotta cut it somehow. How many people are waiting for me to cut through the top of the radiator? Okay. There we go. Make sure everybody can see that USA on there. All right, now let's take the rest of this pipe off of here, and we can call this job done. And so here is the finished product. Well, that's going to do for this video. Hopefully you found it entertaining. If you'd like to see more work being done on this Jeep, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that way you'll know as soon as a new video is posted. If you'd like to see the Jeep in person, it's going to be at the Good Guys Show in York, Pennsylvania this August. So stop on by and check it out. And as always, thanks for watching.